Never let anybody see you sweat.
So I was born in New York City, and I lived there until I was 8 years old. I realized that I was a much better talker than I was a listener. I don't know what to say, I just don't like what you're saying.
Sorry, Your Honor.
I ended up going to law school at Georgetown, and I was a prosecutor for Janet Reno. I loved it because it was so raw. Were you cheating on her?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All rise.
Our show will be a mixture of education, I think you're misreading the law a little bit, and entertainment. My main goal is justice and the law. That's been my legacy, and the legacy I hope to continue into the future with the show.
Daniel Werthers claims his wedding videographer ruined his big day after a private conversation was heard by the guests. Sarah Vile says it was an accident, but he was the one being shady. Ms. Vile is countersuing for $5,500.
Okay, Mr. Werthers, you are suing your former friend, Ms. Vile, for $5,500 that you paid her for a video, and she is counterclaiming you a remaining $5,500 that you were supposed to pay at the end. Tell me how you two know each other.
We go pretty far back to 4th grade.
Well, that is far back.
It is. You know, kids. We were neighbors, grew up in the same neighborhood, grew up together, played together as much as we could, I guess, and then as we got older, we kind of grew apart. As you know, as kids get older and it happens, you find different things. I was more outgoing and played football and basketball, and she was more artistic and kind of kept to herself, a little secluded.
Okay. So how did you end up entering a contract together?
Well, so I had just recently been engaged, and I shared it on social media. And I think she was stalking me, maybe, or lurking through the dark webs of social media. Wow. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure that your social media is the dark web, however.
Well, I don't know what she's doing, Your Honor. There could be more.
You posted something for everyone to see, and she's part of the everyone who saw it. So
yes,
she reaches out to you and says what?
And she says, I've recently got into videographer for weddings.
Okay.
And I would really love to offer you a special deal since we know each other. And after that, we met and I signed a contract.
All right, and the contract was for her to video your wedding?
Yes.
And how much were you paying her?
It was $11,000.
Okay, so you paid her $5,500.
Immediately for the deposit, yes.
And then she, in return for, this job pays well, in return for $11,000.
It's a great service.
You were going to do what? Film his wedding and provide him with what?
The content, the video content of the whole
edited
wedding.
and...
Edited, video stills, interviews with the groom, him, well, not the groom anymore, but the fiance or the bride, their families, friends. It was just a lot of work, but it's very personal. So it's like a big price.
But it is a big price. Half the production.
Yeah, regardless.
Say that again?
There's a lot of work with half the production.
Regardless of
what do you
the
mean
price.
A lot of work? Stop a second. What do you mean a lot of work with half the production?
She took pictures of a wedding that didn't take place. So how do you take pictures?
Oh, okay, all right.
You know what I mean?
You pay. What happened though? So here you are. It's your big day. You're in a tux.
So yeah, she had just done an interview with me, telling me why I loved my former fiance Amy and reasons what we were looking forward to in the future. And I got a very important phone call. So I didn't think, and I just took it.
Please.
I took the phone call. I exited rather quickly as possible, and I took the phone call. So, and then little to my knowledge that I was mic'd from the interview, that I was overheard for the entire wedding to hear.
You mean everyone who was waiting there for the ceremony to begin?
Yes, family, friends, my
How long was your phone call?
It was as brief as possible.
What is that? I don't know what that means. 1 minute, 20 minutes. What was it?
It was less than 10 minutes.
Less than 10 minutes.
Yes.
And for 10 minutes, people heard you on the phone?
Yes.
How does that happen?
It's a great question for a professional, right?
What happened in the situation where I was doing all the interviews with, as I was in the contract, to have everyone...
Right, but those interviews were never intended to be heard by the people who were inside waiting for the ceremony to begin.
Exactly.
They're not supposed to be hearing that.
Exactly, Your
So
Honor.
that's my question. How did that happen? As it turns out, it was really bad because you were talking to your side hustle, right?
It's not a side. It's not like a current
It was
side
someone
hustle.
who you were saying, "I love you," even though I'm marrying Amy.
It wasn't like
And
that.
Amy heard it. It wasn't like that?
No.
Tell me how it was. I don't want to get it wrong.
She's a former ex. She was my first love. So she called because she was telling me she was on the way to ruin my wedding.
Why?
Because
if she was your first love from a way long time ago and you weren't seeing her, why would she go ruin your wedding? Because you were seeing her.
I wasn't seeing her at that time. No, that time had gone.
Is that why you're on the
exactly how it
phone?
looks like? That's how it is.
You're
But
on the
anyway.
phone telling her that you
What
were
was
the
it?
only love.
I'm marveling at this. Did you hear the conversation?
I did, Your Honor.
And what was he saying?
He was basically saying on the phone to her that you were my only love. You were the one love. Even though I'm getting married, you're always going to be.
Stop a second.
You're always going to be mine. And like they talked, and it got her to a point where he calmed her down. It was almost like they were going to see each other afterwards.
Okay.
And
can I ask you a question though? Why are the guests hearing that?
Coming up on Justice for the People.
he was supposed to go directly to the altar, and then that was supposed to be
then
heard.
then if he like coughs, if he burps, that's also project. I'm not
could've gone to the
understanding.
bathroom.
Excuse me. I have been doing this without you my whole life.
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is Justice for the People with Judge Milian. We're back with the case of Daniel Werthers, who brought videographer Sarah Vile to court for ruining his wedding.
I'm trying to understand how that happened. Do you know?
Yes, in my defense, Your Honor, he was the last person to have those interviews when I said that I give everybody little interviews to put it into the content of the wedding videos. He was the last one that I was going to give the interview to. And so I mic'd him up, and we had a little talk. I asked him, what are your plans, you and Amy, in the future? What are you guys going to do for a year?
Please don't interrupt.
For a year from now, like where do you guys see yourselves?
Yeah, blah, 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 blah.
Yes,
How did it get projected to the entire room of invitees?
So he was mic'd up, and he was supposed to stay mic'd up because from that little interview that I had with him, he was supposed to go directly to the altar, and then that was supposed to be heard.
Yeah, but then if he like coughs, if he burps, that's also projected.
I could have gone to the bathroom.
Excuse me. I have been doing this without you my whole life.
Sorry, Your Honor.
Go ahead. I don't understand. Like, how is it that that mic is not turned off and then turned on again at the relevant time?
Because, for Your Honor, I'm new to my business as well. And the thing was, he was directly supposed to go from my little interview with him directly to the altar without speaking.
It doesn't matter.
And so,
if the wedding hasn't begun, then whatever he's saying is also going to be projected into that room. And what I don't understand is the minute that you hear that a private conversation is being projected, how do you not turn that off? Not why don't you turn off his mic? Why don't you turn off the speakers that are in there?
to be honest with you, Your Honor,
You didn't know how to.
I needed to contact.
You didn't know how
honest,
to.
I needed to contact my team to do that as well because I have certain departments where they all work and do those things.
You did not know how to solve the crisis in that instant.
I was shocked just hearing him talk to that girl because I have virtues
Well,
and I have.
the content of his conversation is a different story. He is mad because his voice was being projected to all that. As it turns out, he was up to no good. So he didn't want that to be projected. I am stuck on why was any voice projected and why couldn't it be stopped? What if he's in the bathroom and making bodily noises? I don't get how it is that you couldn't stop the problem. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to get at.
I think it just
It's
happened.
not that I think he deserves cover.
Yeah.
I think he deserves to be in the front of every newspaper in America.
Right.
And all over the internet. Oh, excuse me, I'm dating myself. All over the internet. I just mean I don't understand how the technical difficulty could be so massive. No matter what ends up coming out of his mouth, which is all bad, and I'm glad his bride saw it.
in a separate room.
I presume the marriage, from the way we're talking, did not go forward, right?
It did not.
Right.
But we were in a separate room, and so when it was overheard on the loudspeaker, I I was not in the room with all the people, with all the guests listening. I was in a separate area with him doing the interview, and then he was supposed to go in his area and go straight to the altar and then go straight to the
So now
place
you
to get
didn't
married.
hear it broadcast.
Not until I didn't realize it till afterwards. So he goes into the room, and he's talking on the phone, and I'm just so in tune.
Do you feel like there was any...
I voided out everything.
I need you to listen to my question. Do you feel, as you stand here, even the slightest bit of embarrassment that your technical deficiency was heard throughout all of the guests? I mean, it's not your fault. If he was cheating on his bride, I'm glad he was exposed. So I do not want you to misunderstand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, do you feel like this was your best moment professionally?
I wouldn't say maybe the best moment.
And yet you're counterclaiming because you want all of your fee, even though you didn't video anything. Well, I'm sorry, you videoed some interviews.
Yes.
But that got broadcast, and then his private conversations got broadcast throughout and then caused the debacle of his relationship.
Yes, and Your Honor, it's not...
Well, he caused the debacle of his relationship.
I could not help the situation that he ruined his own wedding and destroyed the whole
No, I understand, but you could
that...
help whether you counterclaim an additional $5,500 when obviously a lot of the work didn't happen. You did not sit through the wedding, video the wedding. You didn't have to spend hundreds of hours editing it. You didn't have to, and yet you've come to court and you are counterclaiming against him to get the remaining money.
Well, ma'am, what happened is, Your Honor, excuse me, I did do a lot of work. So in the contract, it's 1,500 hours worth of work. And I have
How much work would you have done beforehand?
15
I'm sorry. If I have to tell you, I think you've done enough talking. I think you should listen a little
Your Honor,
more.
I've just been
Tell
very
me
stressed
what
about
you
this
did
whole
beforehand,
situation.
because all of this work comes after the wedding and during the filming. So and during the editing, really. But tell me what you had done, quote, beforehand.
I had my team come. They had to take days off. I had to pay them. I had to get the equipment going. I spent so much time just setting up the angles, talking to all the guests, doing the private interviews. And as how I work along the way, I kind of edit as I go too. So it's like a lot of time I put in there for my team as well. And after...
Do you think anybody's going to hire you hearing that, you made such a fundamental mistake?
I just feel that he deterred from the plan of going to get married.
Well, I'm sorry, you're standing there, you're interviewing him. When he turns around to take a phone call, tell him, you're still mic'd.
Coming up.
Do you seriously think that if you had been in the bathroom, the wedding wouldn't have gone forward? You know it's the content of your conversation that made the wedding not go forward.
This is Justice for the People with Judge Milian. We're back with the case of Daniel Werthers, who brought videographer Sarah Vile to court for ruining his wedding.
I'm taking some responsibility for the fact that I should have been more in tune to what was going on with the phone call and his mic.
No.
Or with
You get me wrong. I don't care about his... I don't care that he got caught. I'm glad you got caught. I don't care about it. I care that he is saying you breached the contract. You're supposed to be a professional and know what you're doing. Meanwhile, you let him walk off, and whether he's in the bathroom having intestinal infortitude, or whether he's having a conversation with his auntie, or whether he's having a conversation with his mistress, or whether he's having a conversation with his first love, it doesn't matter to me.
Your Honor,
he is saying this happened, and then I didn't get my money's worth. Now, you're saying, well, I didn't get my money's worth because the wedding didn't go forward. Do you seriously think that if you had been in the bathroom, the wedding wouldn't have gone forward? You know it's the content of your conversation that made the wedding not go forward.
That is correct, but it doesn't...
What did your bride-to-be say to you? How did you find out that this had happened?
I was returning to the ceremony, and we ran into each other, and she was in tears.
How do you run into each other when the ceremony hasn't begun and you're the groom and she's the bride? How did that happen?
Because she heard the phone call over the PA.
So she just ran into the church with all the guests there?
She left the ceremony.
I don't see how that's my fault.
The ceremony wasn't happening. You two are the ceremony. So the ceremony has not begun, folks. So she didn't leave the ceremony. Where did she go? And I'm trying to understand to see how this develops.
Coming up.
And if you're anyone's first love, there's always still a connection there.
Why are you even talking to her on your wedding day?
She called me, and as
Why
I was
are you answering the phone, running out to answer the phone when you've just been interviewed about your love for Amy?
This is Justice for the People with Judge Milian. We're back with the case of Daniel Werthers, who brought videographer Sarah Vile to court for ruining his wedding.
All right, so what does she do? She runs into the room where the ceremony was gonna be?
No, we ran into each other like at a midpoint.
Okay.
I don't know what you would call a hallway.
And what did she say to you?
She said, "I can't believe you did this," and she
What
was
else?
crying. And
What else did she say? She
She's
must have said
she's like,
something
"This is
more than
over,"
that.
and I was begging her to not be and trying to explain the situation.
Well, what did she think the situation was? What did she say?
She thought that I still had feelings for my ex, and I just was making it clear that anyone's first love, there's always still a connection there.
Why are you even
I'm
talking
sure.
to her on your wedding day?
She called me, and as
Why
I
are
was
you
trying
answering the phone, running out to answer the phone when you've just been interviewed about your love for Amy?
because she's already sending text
You're
messages.
supposed to be at the altar.
I
Why
understand
are you
that,
stopping
but
to speak
she was
to her?
sending threatening text messages.
Threatening text messages.
That she was going
Well,
to
how
ruin
long
the
has it
wedding.
been since you see this woman? Oh, you know which women write a threatening text message? The one whose house you were just at. Nobody from 10 years ago writes a threatening text message.
It wasn't 10 years ago, it was months ago.
And your fiance
Oh, I'm
wouldn't
sorry.
leave
Wait,
the
wait,
wedding.
wait, hold on. That's not just going to slide by. It was months ago, so you cheated on your wife
You
to be
said
months
when I
ago.
spoke with her. I didn't do anything with her. I spoke with her.
Is that why
Really?
she left you at the wedding with the whole
She left me at the
venue?
wedding because you were terrible at your
Can
job.
I just? No, she didn't. No, sweetheart. Don't be so stupid.
It wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for her
you
negligence.
mean, right. But for her incompetence, you wouldn't have been caught.
Caught trying to save my wedding?
Caught trying to save your wedding.
She said she was going to come and ruin
Had
the
that
wedding.
fly with your bride, because it's flying the same way with me.
Judge Milian's verdict when Justice for the People returns. This is Justice for the People with Judge Milian.
All right.
Your Honor, if I may interrupt, when you do videography and things, there's so much work, and all this videoing and filming and everything takes place like a lot when everybody shows up. The families, that's a lot of
You didn't
time
get the
and
family,
effort.
'cause the wedding
And
didn't
so,
start yet.
Let
That
me
happened
finish.
after the wedding.
I'm going to figure out what your work was worth that you put in beforehand. You can talk all you want, but my job is to see through this.
Your
Okay?
Honor, I have evidence.
Stop. I'm ordering you, on his lawsuit against you, I am ordering you to return a portion of the money that you were paid, $3,000 verdict for the plaintiff. On your lawsuit against him to collect $11,000, no, that's not going to happen. Most of that $11,000 you didn't end up having to do. The gall of you suing for an additional $5,500, so you would get your entire $11,000 that you were charging when you didn't have to do 90% of the work. No, that's not going to happen. On your counterclaim against him, $0. On his claim against you, $3,000.
Judge Milian has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant owes $3,000.
You're basically just broke our contract that we had, and I hope people can see that in the future, that not to do any deals with you.
Well, the judge saw fit that I
Because
was
you're-
correct,
you being
so
unfaithful.
it looks like
I got
your
it.
business might be over.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.